The Grand Canyon, the world's most recognizable natural marvel, has many more mysteries buried beneath its majestic walls. Its unknown history, contested age and mind-boggling speculation surround this breathtaking geological phenomenon, among other things. So get ready to see the Grand Canyon in a way you've never seen before, as we share some amazing facts that will make you question everything you thought you knew. Declaration. The Grand Canyon, a famous American landmark, has a unique and a fascinating history. It was discovered by Europeans in 1541 but remained largely unexplored and unappreciated for centuries. It wasn't until the mid-19th century that explorers and scientists began to recognize its geological significance. In 1857, Lieutenant Joseph C. Ives led an expedition to the Grand Canyon, followed by Major John Wesley Powell in 1869, who named it the Grand Canyon and wrote about its beauty. These explorations coincided with the rise of geology as a popular science and the growing interest in landscape art. The Grand Canyon, once considered a place to avoid, started gaining recognition as a marvel and natural wonder. Artists like Thomas Moran and William Henry Holmes depicted its breathtaking views, further adding to its cultural significance. The canyon's unique geological features and its visual impact made it stand out from traditional notions of scenic beauty. Its grandeur and mystery captivated the public's imagination, eventually leading to its designation as a national park in 1919. The Grand Canyon's cultural impact goes beyond aesthetics. It expanded the appreciation for exposed rock formations and earth colors in landscape art and contributed to the rise of post-war environmentalism. The debate surrounding proposed dams in the 1960s highlighted the importance of protecting the canyon and preserving its natural beauty. While the Grand Canyon remains a geological spectacle, modern preservation efforts focus on protecting living landscapes and biodiversity. However, the canyon's immense scale and its unfiltered, awe-inspiring views continue to have a profound cultural and individual impact. Despite threats such as climate change and human activities, preserving the Grand Canyon for future generations remains crucial. As President Teddy Roosevelt said, "Leave it as it is. The ages have been at work on it, and man can only mar it." The goal is to maintain the canyon's unspoiled beauty and provide future visitors with the same individual epiphany and cultural experience it's offered throughout history. Formation. How old is the Grand Canyon is a difficult question to answer. Some estimates say the Grand Canyon is between 5 and 6 million years old, but it's not as easy to figure out as you might think. The canyon is made up of layers of rocks that are millions or even billions of years old. Each layer represents a different time in geology, but it's harder to say when the canyon was carved and when it started to look like the Grand Canyon we know today. Geologists still haven't found a date on which they can all agree, even though they have a lot of tests and ways to date things. Figuring out the Grand Canyon's exact age will take more time, study and opinion. In the meantime, let's look at what we do know. Geologists can agree on how old the layers of rock that make up the Grand Canyon walls are. The Kaibab is the youngest layer in the Grand Canyon. The oldest levels date back as far as 1.8 billion years. Over a long length of time, weathering and downcutting shaped the Grand Canyon. Downcutting is when a river cuts down into layers of rock and erodes them to make a trench. The National Park Service says that the amount of downcutting in the Grand Canyon is made worse by the fact that the Colorado River has a steep slope, a big volume, and runs through a dry climate. If you know that erosion is what made up the canyon, you might wonder how experts can date something that is no longer there. It's easy to figure out how old the rocks in the canyon are, but it's harder to figure out how long some of them have been missing. This requires complicated scientific methods, such as geochemical methods, to measure the temperature of rocks. The deeper a rock is buried, the warmer it is. When weathering wears away the rocks on top, as it does when a canyon appears, the rock moves closer to the surface and cools. There's a lot of disagreements about how old the Grand Canyon is because these chemistry methods are hard to use and the data can be interpreted in different ways. Geologists don't all agree with what the results mean, and some are even using different temperature ranges, which changes the results. Geologists Rebecca Flowers of the University of Colorado Boulder and Kenneth Farley of the California Institute of Technology in Pasadena, for example, got their results by assuming that the ground temperature at the surface is 25 degrees Celsius, while another team used a range of 10 to 25 degrees. These different methods are one reason why the date range hasn't been set, but even though these results aren't always the same, there are general agreements about how old the Grand Canyon is. Research shows that the Colorado River probably started draining and cutting into the Grand Canyon at least 17 million years ago and as long as 70 million years ago, based on who you ask and what part of the canyon you're talking about. But when did the downsizing finish? The easy and widely accepted answer for when the Grand Canyon was eroded to its current identifiable condition and the one contained in Grand Canyon National Park's Trail of Time is 6 million years ago. Some scientists like Carl Strom, who have studied the Grand Canyon for more than 30 years and helped create the Trail of Time, say that parts of the canyon could be tens of millions of years old. Carl Strom thinks that some parts of the canyon could be as old as 70 million years. This does not change the fact that the canyon is much younger than it looks to us now. So even though parts of the canyon were cut out between 15 and 70 million years ago, they were not all linked by the Colorado River until 5 or 6 million years ago. Human history. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence suggesting that humans have been utilizing the Grand Canyon for over 13,000 years, tracing back to the last ice age. The area holds cultural significance for at least 9 Native American tribes, whose oral traditions recount the creation of the magnificent charm and the powerful river within it. The first Europeans to lay eyes on the canyon were Spanish explorers led by Francisco Vázquez de Coronado, was moved to depict the plateaus and chasms of the Grand Canyon area through a literary narrative that surpassed scientific writings. Dalton's chapter, The Panorama from Point Sublime, vividly describes the awe-inspiring spectacle of the Grand Canyon. His work, known as Tertiary History, is widely regarded as the most evocative and compelling geological writing ever produced on the region. Thomas Morin, an artist renowned for his depictions of the canyon, created one of his earliest paintings of the Grand Canyon. Morin unapologetically romanticized the landscape, a tradition followed by numerous artists, both professional and amateur, in their attempts to capture the essence of the canyon. Dutton's timeless writing continues to evoke emotions and captivate readers, while painters and photographers face the challenge of conveying the grandeur of the canyon through their art. In 1872, John E. Weiss sketched a scene of the Colorado River in the Grand Canyon area, a few miles upstream from the present-day Lee's Ferry and Navajo Bridge. This location, used as a travel route by Utes and Navajos, earned the nickname El Vado de los Padres when Spanish priests from the Dominguez Escalante expedition crossed the river there in 1776. Glen Canyon Dam, constructed in 1964, transformed the Colorado River into Lake Powell. Weiss's sketch inspired author Wallace Stegner to feature it in his influential work Beyond the 100th Meridian. Since then, millions of visitors from all around the world have had the opportunity to experience the grandeur of the Grand Canyon. Today, the Grand Canyon National Park serves as a protective sanctuary for this stunning landscape and embodies a unique set of values that historians recognize as distinctly American. Over the past century, the park, its boundaries, management policies, and its significance to Americans have evolved in fascinating ways. Its caretakers, residents, and visitors contribute to the ongoing narrative of this remarkable place. In conclusion, the Grand Canyon is not only a sign of how powerful nature is, but also a window into the fascinating past of our world and the cultures that once lived in its depths. As more study pushes the limits of what we know, the sacred footprints of old species that show how they changed over time continue to surprise us. If you're also interested in stories about lost riches and old artifacts, don't miss the chance to learn more about the secrets of the Grand Canyon. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an update of our explanation videos.